Welcome to the Swamps of Dominaria. Hope you're excited. As far as opening hand goes, yeah, looks good. We're going to keep on this. We have Life from the Loam, we have Baleful Strix, we have Card Draw, we have Cultivate. Yes, this is beautiful. I just played Muldrotha where I kept a suspect hand, and it was not good. Let's go for Temple of Mysteries. Get the Scry going, the Scurry, the Fever, the Insanity, the Damnation. We want that. Yeah. Don't know what kind of Yidris deck this is. Normally it's a Spellslinger deck, but we're going to put that on top. We've got a lot of good stuff in the hands. So I'll definitely welcome Damnation. But yes, welcome to the Swamps of Dominaria. I hope you're ready to get down there. Bring your children, your family. We're going to go deep down into the swamp and see what we can dredge up. It'll be a fun Saturday for everybody. During each of your turns, you may play up to one permanent card of each permanent type from your graveyard. I just love thinking about there being like a, like a swamp amusement park. That'd be pretty good. Let's go and get down Catacombs. Yeah, they need to get down Catacombs. And let's go and go for Baleful Strix. I like getting that card draw, and it's also going to keep our opponent from swinging in with some attackers. Let's go for Underground Sea. Let's go for Baleful Strix. It's going to be white and a black, blue and a black. Draw a card, drawn to Buried Alive. Really good. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn. But yeah, so we get to play one permanent card type out of our graveyard, thanks to Muldrotha. Our playing against Yidris, the Maelstrom Wielder, the man who rides on a horse with no name. Hopefully right into the swamp. Whenever Yidris deals combat damage to a player as you cast spells from your hand this turn, they gain Cascade. Now, if you've not seen Yidris before, Yidris is a really fun commander. Let's go ahead and go for Woodland Cemetery. And let's go ahead and go for Cultivate. Yeah, I like that. And we're still just... maybe it's being a little bit protective. We're going to go and hold up Baleful Strix on this one. We need a pretty good amount of black mana. We have two black sources. Let's go black, two blue, two green. Yeah, we're just going to grab another forest off this one. I think that's pretty good. Typically, double blue is about all we're going to need on this one. Let's go and get the forest down, make the land drop, and then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn. We cover both commanders. It's free time. We can talk about whatever we want. That's going to be your day at the Swamps of Dominaria. Now, what are we doing with Muldrotha? You know, as far as this particular build with Muldrotha, this is pretty... ooh, opponent's a little light on lands. Hopefully, they get some good lands going. Let's go ahead and get down... I want to get down Twilight Mire. And I guess we could end up going for... yeah, let's go for Sidisi. Let's just put a little bit of pressure on our opponent. Maybe we can hopefully kind of let them buy enough time before we get down Muldrotha to really kind of start swinging in at them. Make sure we tap one of those for blue. That would be beneficial to us. And then tap out for Twilight Mire. There we go. Have CDC enter the battlefield, put the top three cards of your library into your graveyard. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we hit a creature card off that. Sweet. Run into Mancer, and then we end up with a 2/2 zombie on the battlefield. All right, let's go and swing in with Baleful Strix. I doubt we're going to see a block from our opponent, and then we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. But yeah, as far as this deck goes, you know, it's not really, when you're thinking about building Muldrotha, you can definitely go really heavy Planeswalkers. What I found is you want to have a really good mix of creatures. You know, you want to kind of diversify what you're trying to do with Muldrotha, just in case you run into some sort of graveyard hate. Now, if you run into that graveyard hate, what's going to end up happening is that you're not going to be able to get a lot of stuff going. So you want to have something that still has some sort of legs to kind of get some stuff going. All right, opponent does have Yidris Maelstrom Wielder hit the battlefield. If we end up tapping out for Muldrotha, we can at least kind of chump block on that. Do we want to go for that? I think I like that. We could Sidisi, but we won't have enough for some room. Yeah, let's go for that. Let's go for Marsh Flats. Let's go and get that land into the graveyard. That way it'll kind of turn this Life from the Loam on just a little bit better. Let's grab Bayou. Let's get the swamps going. It's going to be black, green, and then blue. Let our opponent really have some fun. Let's tap out for Muldrotha. Get her down. Anything else that we can end up tapping for? No, we can't. Then we're going to go and pass turn to our opponent. Now, I did add a new card to the deck. Excuse me, I do apologize, but I forget who suggested it. But somebody suggested Lunar Force. So this is kind of one of those cards where I wasn't sure if I wanted to put it in there. And the more I thought about it, you know, there's just some turns with Muldrotha where it's late game. You have a lot of extra mana. There's not a ton of enchantments in here. So you go for Lunar Force, cast it, and it kind of puts your opponent in this weird spot to where it's on the battlefield, and whenever they cast a spell, it's going to be able to counter that spell. So it's kind of just like you're buying a counter spell for 3 mana. If they use it, awesome, you can catch something, or it's going to kind of force them to kind of do something really weird in their turn. All right, opponent's going to get down a Sword of War and Peace, and that's going to be protection from red and white, which thankfully is none of the colors in our deck. All right, let's see. How do we want to sequence this? We can go for Lunar Force. I think I like that. Let's go and test it out. Why not? Let's go ahead and go for Marsh Flats. Let's go ahead and go for Lunar Force. That's going to be blue. And we're kind of in this weird holding pattern with Yidris. Now, what we can do is this almost kind of plays out like a Sidisi deck, is we can get down Mesmeric Orb. Yeah, I like that. Let's go for Mesmeric Orb. Let's go and crack on Marsh Flats. Let's go and grab that. We'll have to shock it in. Yeah, we're at 27. Why not? We're going to shock this one in. Let's go and go for Life from the Loam on at least one of those lands. That way we can get another land into the hand. And, you know, if something does happen to our hand, that way we can still cast it out of there. Bring that back, and then anything else, we're going to go and pass there. We can swing into Yidris at this point right now, but yeah, just in case they give it first strike or something like that, I really like holding up Muldrotha. And we've still got some really good option with Lunar Force. We're going to be able to counter whatever spell they want to roll out. So let's go and always yield to Mesmeric Orb, and let's see what else they get going. But yeah, you can see where Lunar Force really kind of puts some pressure on our opponent. You know, they finally have that 4 mana. Unfortunately, they've been a little bit light on lands, but simply getting down Lunar Force is going to be able to stop whatever they've got going on. Now, if we want to completely make this trade with Yidris, it does have trample, but yeah, all right, opponent's going to simply just pass the turn. All right, end up with another creature, end up with Deranged Hermit, Seal of Doom. Okay, that's actually really good. And then we get another zombie on the battlefield. Let's go and dredge Life from the Loam because we went up 80, but basically dredging allows you to see pretty much anything you want. It's just a huge extension of your hand. And we did hit a Lion's Eye Diamond, so let's have some fun. Let's get the swamp down. Let's go and go for Lion's Eye Diamond. Let's go and cast that as an artifact. And what we can do, now it does have Hex, oh, there we go, all right. Basically, I'm going to explain what happened, and you know, sometimes when you're playing Muldrotha, you end up with these really fast games like this one, and I'm just going to go ahead and break this one down, and even though it is a little bit of a shorter video, I'll just go ahead and show you. So our opponent has Yidris down on the battlefield. They do have the Sword of War and Peace, protection from red and white, so we're going to be able to get around that one. They did get down Swiftfoot Boots, so this is where how it's pretty explosive with Muldrotha. So we get down Lion's Eye Diamond. That's going to allow us to get into 3 extra mana. We end up going for Seal of Primordium. We're going to be able to sacrifice that one, take care of the Swiftfoot Boots. That's going to be our enchantment for the turn. We tap out for Ravenous Chupacabra, which is going to target Yidris, get Yidris off the battlefield. And I think that was going to be about it as far as stuff that we could bring back out of the graveyard, especially with us going for Lion's Eye Diamond. Now, we did have Buried Alive in the hand that we actually just held on to, and that allowed us to put a few more creatures in the graveyard too if we want to get something else kind of going, and then we could start swinging at our opponent. One of the fun things in here we do have is Lord of Extinction. That's a really good card, and we also have Rancor in here. That's another really cheap enchantment to kind of get some good stuff going. But once we take care of Yidris, we're looking at Birds of Paradise, simply just blocking. We got a 6/6 coming across, 2/2 zombie. We got Sidisi milling some more action into the graveyard. Sidisi is really good in Muldrotha, really gives you some good stuff going, and you know, you want to be dredging stuff with Muldrotha to begin with anyway, so simply tapping out for CDCs, you're going to get those cards in the graveyard, and then allowing you to get some extra zombie tokens off of stuff that you're normally going to be doing can really help you kind of win the game. And then also Lunar Force, you can see how it kind of puts some pressure on our opponent. You know, said they do have something in the hand they need to get going, being able to counter that spell. It's always really good to get that going. But anyways, wonderful swamp showing, a little bit quick, but unfortunately, Yidris tends to be a kind of a one-trick pony, swinging across with Yidris, and once you kind of clutter up that board state, it's kind of hard to get anything going, and on top of that, being mana screwed never helps off that one. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Welcome to the Swamps of Dominaria. As far as opening hand goes, I like it a lot, actually. It's really risky, but we're looking at Blooming Marsh, Birds of Paradise, Simic Signet, Deathrite Shaman. Man, if we don't hit that land really quick, we'll go ahead and keep it. Why not? Let's have some fun. All right, we're here to play some, here to keep some sketchy hands sometimes. I like going for that. But anyway, welcome to the Swamps of Dominaria. Hope you're excited to start dredging something up out of the swamp to show off to our opponent. As you can see, Muldrotha is really good at dredging stuff out of the swamp. They've got some, I did the art for it, and I don't know if you noticed, but there's like a ship somewhere in her arms and stuff like that. So I always really appreciated that one. All right, drawn to Reclamation Sage. Just going to get down Blooming Marsh. And at this point right now, let's go ahead and go for Birds of Paradise, because hopefully, if there's no removal, that'll put us online for Simic Signet. Or worst case scenario, we'll be able to get down Deathrite Shaman the following turn. Let's go and kick it over to our opponent. We are playing Muldrotha, the Gravetide. During each of your turns, you may play up to one permanent type, one permanent card of each permanent type from your graveyard. So basically an artifact, creature, enchantment, different things like that. Let's go ahead and go for... Yeah, let's get the Signet down. Unfortunately, we didn't hit the land drop, but at least it'll still be kind of like we're making the land drop. Get that down, then kick it over there. Yeah, and you play one permanent card type from your graveyard. We're playing against Samut, Voice of Dissent, Flash, Double Strike, Vigilance, Haste. Other creatures you control have haste. Then for 1 white mana, untap another target creature. And opponent's going to go for Wood Elves, getting their land onto the battlefield. So hopefully we hit that land drop. Now we do have Fleshbag Marauder in the hand. Unfortunately, it's not really good against our opponent's board state right now. They'll still end up going for Wood Elves, but we'll try our best. Hopefully we can kind of clear up some of the board and get rid of some of that ramp for Samut. One of the things with Samut is that She is. She can get going pretty quick. You know, next thing you know, she's coming down with double strike and giving all your creatures vigilance and stuff like that. It's pretty good. Pretty good on that one. Let's go and go for Satyr Wayfinder. Yeah, let's go and do that. That way we can hopefully rip a land off that one, and we'll start dredging into our library a little bit. It'll give us another creature for a chump blocker. Temple of Mystery. There we go. Grab that one. Get the scry going. Get the scurry. Get the fever. The insanity. See what we rip into. Yeah, let's go and put that on the bottom for right now. And then anything else, yeah, let's go and go for Deathrite Shaman, 1 black mana. We did make the land drop, fortunately, and then anything else, we're going to go and pass turn to our opponent. We cover both commander, just free time. We can talk about whatever we want. That's going to be Muldrotha. Now, as far as this particular build of Muldrotha, this is what I consider just a good value deck. You know, we're not necessarily going all in on a certain combo. You know, very limited planeswalkers in here, very few in here. And really one of the things that I kind of learned with Muldrotha is that I have a lot more creatures than we do permanents to kind of get into play out of the graveyard. And one of the main reasons for that was just in case our opponent is running some sort of graveyard hate. I didn't want to be dead in the water to not being able to get Muldrotha going. And so we're got a pretty good ramp package in here. So, you know, if something does happen to our graveyard, we can't cast stuff out of there. It basically kind of turns into a Sultai Enter the Battlefield deck. I'm pretty sure we do have Panharmonicon in here. We get that down, start casting stuff out of the graveyard. You can see we get down Fleshback Marauder, Reclamation Sage. You can get that going to really kind of start taking care of your opponent's problematic permanents they have on the battlefield. And then stuff like Deed, you know, get this down, you can blow the entire board up and then recast it. Our opponent did search up Reclamation Sage, and they will be going for our Simic Signet, so that's unfortunate. Now, the good thing about that Satyr Wayfinder is that we did hit a land out of the graveyard, so we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have at least 4 mana, 5 if we hit the land drop. We do not. Run into Titanium, and then how do we want to do this? We can go for Baleful Strix. That'll give us an additional card draw. I think I'd like that. Let's go and do that. It's going to be Baleful Strix. That's also going to allow us to hopefully kind of, you know, that double strike we can't block Samut, but at least it'll stop some of these creatures from swinging across and dinking us for, you know, 1 or 2 damage. All right, draw into a Turtle Witness. And then anything else, yeah. We could get something down for 2, exiling that land, but we may need to hold on to it. Yeah, let's go and pass turn to our opponent, and let's kind of get into a holding position. Now, outside of some of the cards that we do have in here, some of the creature stuff in here, we are running Lion's Eye Diamond, which is, I know it's like super expensive in either paper or online. In fact, let me check it out right now, because it's such a good card in here, and I hate talking about it because it's so expensive, but it's one of those things, if you have the card, go for it. Let me pull it up real quick. I'm just going to go for Expedition Map Crack while I am looking up a card price. Lion's Eye Diamond. Fun fact, that's when I got into Magic, was Lion's Eye Diamond during Mirage. Actually, it's not too bad online. You know, you're looking at about $6 online. So if you're looking to play it online, definitely go for it. It's really good in the deck, but in paper, it's a little pricey. I was going to get down Dark Slick Shore, so we are looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 total mana. Opponent did get down a Temple of the False God. Let's see if that's what they searched up with Expedition Map. Actually, I think they revealed, Temple of the False God, and they did get on Reclamation Sage. Let's go and cross that off. So we're looking at 5 total mana. I'm almost tempted to go for Eternal Witness on one of the lands out of the graveyard, but that won't do much if we end up going for that. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. I want to make the land drop this. We already made Dark Slick Shores for the turn. We could go for Titania if we wanted to. It's not swinging with Baleful Strix. You know, if our opponent does have they don't have any land destruction out there at this point right now. And if something does happen to our lands, we'll end up some 5/3s. Yeah, let's do this. Let's go ahead and go for... Yeah, we'll go and go for Eternal Witness on Temple of the False God. If we're going to catch up with our opponent's mana, we really need to make sure we keep making our land drops, even if it doesn't count. So let's go and go Eternal Witness on Temple of the False God. We could go for the Signet, but our opponent did have Reclamation Sage. So if they have any way to kind of bounce that back, then or recast Reclamation Sage somehow, that wouldn't be the good for us. So we'll see what our opponent's going to activate. They're going to go for a Fauna Shaman activation. Okay, and our opponent did search up a Primeval Titan off Fauna Shaman. I'm not really... Man, I wish Magic Online would have left that ban. But yeah, so we're looking at Lion's Eye Diamond. It's like $250 in paper, so that's kind of a bummer. That's really expensive, so... But in Magic, at least on Magic Online, that's one of the benefits of Magic Online, is that sometimes you end up with these really drastic price differences. You can pick up a Lion's Eye Diamond for like $6, whereas in paper, it's $250, so that is pretty pricey. Let's see what our opponent's going to search up on these Primeval Titan search trigger. It's going to be Boros Garrison, And then I think Command Tower was the search off that one. They're going to have to return a land back to their hand. Pretty sure that's exactly what that was. Yeah, Boros Garrison. Looks like they only maybe just grabbed one land off of that one. All right, so we got Prime Time. It doesn't have any sort of haste or anything like that one. We can get down Temple of the False God next turn. Unfortunately, that will not turn us online for getting down Muldrotha, but hopefully we see what we draw into because we do have Birds of Paradise and the Deathrite Shaman. All right, drawn to Animate Dead, Combustible Gear Hulk. We could end up going for that one if we want to get that out there. That does put us online for... Yeah, we still need to get... Let's go and get down Temple of the False God. That'll at least give us some sort of blocker against Primeval Titan. I think I really do like that. Let's go and do that. Let's go for Animate Dead on Combustible Gear Hulk. That's going to be 1, and then tap out for black. We'll bring that back. We'll get that Enter the Battlefield trigger. Either we're going to draw 3 cards, or have that damage be dealt to our opponent. Now, the good thing about that first strike is we'll be able to hold off on Prime Time. Keep his ugly head from swinging across over here. Okay, so the top 3 cards went into our library. We still have at least 3 more lands to go off of that one. Doing a flesh bag to kind of keep some of this down a little bit. Or let's go and get down Fauna Shaman actually now. Let's go and go for Birds of Paradise. Let's tap out for Blooming Marsh. Get down Fauna Shaman, and then anything else, we're going to go and pass turn to our opponent. Yeah, I kind of like going for that one. That's going to allow us to start discarding some of the stuff in our hand. Like, we do have Titania, awesome card to get down. But unfortunately with Titania, we don't really have a lot of fetch lands. We don't have a lot of ways to start bringing stuff out of the graveyard just yet. We don't have Muldrotha down. So what we can do with Fauna Shaman is discard some of these creature cards into the graveyard. And that's one of the good things about Muldrotha is, you know, we get some good value off Fauna Shaman. We get to grab the creature card that we want exactly. But at the same time, we're discarding it, and then we get to recast it out with Muldrotha, which always makes it really fun. All right. So your opponent's going to be tapping out for. Opponent's going to tap out for Rishkar's Expertise. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures that you control. And that's going to be 6 total cards. So that's going to put them at 6 cards in the hand. Then they can get to cast something for 5 or less for free. Let's see what we're about to run into. It's going to go Restoration Angel, and see what they're going to bounce. They're going to bounce Reclamation Sage, taking care of Animate Dead. Not the end of the world. Good thing is we got a little bit of graveyard action going, so that way if we do hit the land, we can exile one of those cards with Deathrite Shaman, and then kind of go from there. And then also the fun thing about Animate Dead is an enchantment. So once we get down Muldrotha, we're going to be able to have that repeated Combustible Gear Hulk action going. You know, especially if our opponent can bounce something like Restoration Angel, we can get... keep recasting Animate Dead. Now, they do have Thragtusk, too, so the cool thing about Thragtusk is if we put Animate Dead on Thragtusk and something happens to it where it leaves the battlefield, we get a 3/3 Beast Creature token. So, that's a fun way for us to get a little bit of extra value if we end up going for that off of Animate Dead. But yeah, highly suggest putting Animate Dead in your Muldrotha deck. You know, it's low investment. You're going to be dredging a lot of your stuff anyway, so let's say that we do hit something like Titania out of the graveyard. We can simply pay 2 mana to bring Titania out with Animate Dead, or like I said, we could use it for Combustible Gear Hulk to kind of get some good stuff going. Okay, so we got Prime Time coming down. Let's going to maybe look for 2 lane cards. Let's see if they search up on this Prime Time trigger. And they end up with the Yavimaya Hollow and the Jungle Shrine. Just has Trample. Yeah, that's correct. So we're going to throw Baleful Strix in front of that one. Yeah, because Baleful Strix will have Death Touch. So at least we get rid of that repeated card draw trigger, and then we can always recast Baleful Strix to get that card draw. And if we want to, we can Animate Dead, actually, once we get Muldrotha. Drawn to Mesmeric Orb. Okay. And once again, we did not hit the land drop, so that keeps us off Muldrotha. I guess at this point, we'll just get down Deed. We could go for Reclamation Sage, but there's not a lot of good options out there. And with us going for Deed, that's at least going to allow us to, maybe next turn, clean up some of these creatures. If our opponent does end up going for Samut, we can hopefully kind of blow them up and then get down Muldrotha and kind of start going from there. Now, the only downside to Deed is if you never played with the card, is it does destroy each creature. It's not just our opponent's creatures. It's going to destroy all of our creatures too, so... That's something we definitely need to keep in mind. But we are looking at turn 7, so hopefully by turn 8, we will draw in at least into another land, and that's going to allow us to finally kind of bust this open and go for Muldrotha. Something like Life from the Loam would be a wonderful card draw. Hopefully, come on, Magic Gods, give us Life from the Loam. But yeah, you get Life from the Loam going, you really get that dredging option going, and being able to bring back a bunch of lands to your hand really kind of helps you get that going. Our opponent did go for Tectonic Edge, blowing our land up, Temple of the False God, which is not that bad. It was kind of a desperate grab off Eternal Witness to begin with anyway, so it's not the end of the world. And we have 2 of our mana dorks in Birds of Paradise and Deathrite Shaman. Alright, so our opponent ended up going for Acidic Slime. And if they're going to end up going for Acidic Slime, that might Yeah, they're going to be able to blast one of our lands. They can go for deed if they want to, but more than likely, if they end up going for our lands, that's going to be hard for us to kind of bounce back from that one. Hopefully, we'll see what we rip into. We do still have Fleshback Marauder to kind of clean it up just a little bit, but yeah, that's the only downside. So if we do end up tapping out for... Okay, opponent does end up going for deed. Shout out to our opponent for at least allowing us to stick with some lands on the battlefield. Always appreciate that. Okay, so we got Restoration and Reclamation Sage swinging across. I'm just going to chump block on Reclamation Sage with Eternal Witness. I'm okay with making that trade. It allows us to get some good value off Eternal Witness once we finally do get down Muldrotha, and then kind of start going from there. Let's go and cross off Restoration Age, Prime Time, and then that one right there. Drawn to Big Game Hunter. Okay, power 4 or greater. I guess at this point, we're looking at 5 total mana. There's no really sort of land destruction out there. Unfortunately, we cannot hit these land drops. Yeah, Fleshback Marauder is going to get rid of a creature. We're going to look at Wood Elves probably getting sacrificed, us losing Fleshback Marauder. I guess we end up going for Titania. That's just, at least we get like a 5/3 on the battlefield. Let's go and exile, at this point right now, we're going to exile Temple of the... Actually, we're going to exile Tectonic Edge. Exile Tectonic Edge. Let's go and tap out on green. Add green to our mana pool. That way, if our opponent does have land destruction, we'll at least end up with a token on the battlefield or something. It's going to go for Titania. Get her down. And then anything else, we're going to go ahead. Oh, excuse me, with Titania, we can turn a land back to the graveyard. Totally forgot about that ability. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and bring back... Overgrown Tomb. Yeah, that sounds good. Bring back Overgrown Tomb, and then anything else we'll go and pass turn. But sorry about that. Enter the battlefield trigger. On that, for some reason, I just always forget that she returns a land back to the battlefield. I'm always so focused on her creating these 5/3 elemental tokens. So now at this point right now, we have Deathrat Shaman and Birds of Paradise and 4 lands finally on the battlefield, and so we can finally start going for Muldrotha. Yeah, I probably would have gone for Titania a lot quicker if I would remember that land return trigger, but that's the way Magic goes sometimes. You forget about little interactions like that. But yeah, Titania, as far as the deck goes, it's really good, especially being able to cast a fetch land out of your graveyard with Muldrotha, you know, tap out for 5 mana, because that's one of the good things about Muldrotha is you get into this board state to where hopefully you've been making your land drops. We haven't been making them right now, but hopefully as the game wears on, you keep making your land drops. Something does happen in Muldrotha, you can recast her, get her down. And we start making these fetch lands, you know, you have a lot of mana to do a lot of stuff with. So you can simply just tap out for Titania, play the fetch land, crack it, get the elemental on the battlefield, and end up with a lot of value. Alright, so opponent ended up going for Oblivion Ring on Titania, which is not the end of the world. The main thing is we got our land on the battlefield. Let's see what they're going to tap out for at this point right now. They have around 4 or 5 mana. Alright, opponent's going to go for Karmic Guide. And they're going to bring back Prime Time. And let's see what our opponent searched up. Looks like they simply just grabbed a... I don't know what land they grabbed. They don't say it in here. Well, okay. All right, opponent's going to be swinging across for Restoration Angel. I think they're going to swing the whole crew. That's going to be 5. That's going to be 8 coming across for 12. We'll go and trade... At this point right now, we'll go and trade on the Wood Elves. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Trade with Wood Elves. That'll be exactly 7 coming across, putting us down to 13. And then see what we draw into. Drawn to Glimpse the Unthinkable. Now, if we wanted to, we could go for Big Game Hunter. That would take care of Prime Time. Yeah, we need to go for Muldrotha. That's going to be our best bet. Let's go and exile land out of the graveyard. At this point right now, we're going to exile Hinterland Harbor. Yeah, because I like Command Beacon. So we're going to exile Harbor. Let's go and tap out for, doesn't really matter, we'll tap out for blue. Let's go green off Birds of Paradise, black, and then does not matter. We'll be able to get down Muldrotha, and then hopefully we'll still be able to go for the Temple of the False God activation, and then also allow us to finally tap out for Dimir, the Simic Signet, get that down, and then kind of start going from there. All right, anything else that we can tap out for? No, unfortunately at this point, we're going to go and pass turn to our opponent. Now, we do have Deed out of the graveyard. It's going to take a lot of mana to deal with a lot of our opponent's permanents on the battlefield. We are looking at least 3. So as far as this point goes, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we are looking at tapping out for 3 off Deed, and that still gives us at least 6 mana to go for an activation. That should clean up everything at this point right now. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to survive another turn. We are looking at a pretty good chunk of damage coming across. We've got at least 6, 9. We've got 11. We've got... about 13, and we're exactly lethal coming across, so at least it's still with Muldrotha we can trade. Actually, excuse me, with Samut having haste, they might be able to go ahead and close it out. So let's see how our opponent wants to kind of spin this turn. Oh, no, excuse me. Our opponent went for a Domri Raid activation. Target creature you control fights another target creature, -2. All right, they're going to get in on this one. Yeah, they simply just tap out for Samut. That's going to be haste coming across, and then we have no possible blockers. Good game to our opponent. Unfortunately, sometimes, you know, you get in these spots where we did kind of keep a questionable hand. This is one of those hands to where it's just kind of like, you know, if we just rip into a couple more lanes, we're good to go. We'll have a very explosive start. But when you keep these risky hands where you have a couple mana dorks on one land and a signet, sometimes Magic pays you back for that one. And unfortunately, we did. You know, we didn't really get to see a lot of lands. We had to do some kind of questionable moves on some of this stuff. So our opponent's going to bring back Reclamation Sage and Acidic Slime. We'll go and let them do whatever they're do, and then wait till they swing across for combat. Okay, our opponent knocks us down to 2. They could have swung over Samut, so I'm not entirely sure exactly what's going on. But we'll see what we draw into. Draw into Catacombs. A little too late, buddy. But anyway, yeah, we'll go and scoop it up on this one. They were able to swing across. They had enough mana for Samut. But you can see how, in fact, it reminds me, I need to play Samut. I haven't played it in a long time. But you can see how explosive some of this deck is with Samut. It's just getting down a lot of enter the battlefield creatures and then just kind of start going to town on that one. But anyway, got a little lane screwed on this one. That happens in Magic. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.